Good morning, everyone. My name is Angie DeFilippo. I'm your political director for the Tarrant County Central Labor Council. Today, we are going to be talking about the Proact. This is a huge opportunity to make a big change in our country. It's a piece of legislation that can turn the fortunes back to the working people. For generations, corporate CEO pay has skyrocketed while everyday people are stretching the dollar, living paycheck to paycheck, and even worse, unable to make those ends meet and are losing everything. So, the first step to understanding why the PRO Act is necessary is common sense in economics. I'm going to show y'all a short slide to give you a little background information on the PRO Act, and then we're going to talk about like the key takeaways and our call to action. Okay. So, first things up. Right here. All right. So, as you can see, we're going with build back better with unions. This is a stronger slogan than others have used in the past. Here we go. So right now, income inequality gap is at its largest than in 50 years. The balance of power has shifted completely to corporations, and labor laws designed to empower and protect working people are outdated, they're weak. During the Great Depression, for example, we enacted labor laws to correct this imbalance of power that's been going on between working people, big businesses. Since then, corporate interests have weakened those laws. So today we see the same income inequality and wage stagnation for working people that led to these laws in the first place. So let's start. If you're watching, hi Savita. If you're watching us this morning, if anyone you know has lost their job without justification, like say so in the chat, or is doing more work for the same or even less pay, like if you're not getting cost of living raises, you're unable to negotiate your pay, your benefits. Like this sounds very Texas to me. I'm sure many of you will agree. This is a right to work state. That's why. So, in our current labor laws, with them being broken, outdated, they do not discourage or stop corporations from breaking the rules. In fact, weak laws have allowed the gap between the 1% and the rest of us to skyrocket. While the share of income is going to the top 10%, it's increased dramatically. We see from the slide that working people in the middle class saw their share of income shrink as union membership declined. We can see that as the number of workers protected by unions declined, workers' wages fell. And that's a direct correlation. Our labor laws have been weakened over the last 80 years, and it's become harder for people to improve their working conditions. Anyone in the chat can ask questions as we're going along with this, and I'll answer as we go. So, big question. How have companies and our broken labor laws allowed corporations to attack workers' right to organize and collectively bargain for better working conditions? That would include firing pro-union workers, holding mandatory meetings to bash unions, refusing to bargain contracts, prohibiting working people from organizing in the first place, breaking strikes, replacing workers, and overall avoiding accountability. While only 10.8% of the workers were members of a union in 2020, unions have steadily been growing in popularity over the last 10 years. A recent survey found 65% of Americans approve of labor unions. This is the one of the highest marks in the last 50 years, which is why it's so important to do this now. Another study shows that nearly half of all non-union members in the country said they would vote to join a union if they could. That's more than 60 million Americans who want to be in a union. Given that unions are more popular than they've ever been in the last half century, we know that nearly half of all non-members say they would like to join a union if they could. What does that say about our current state of our labor laws, that less than 11% of workers nationally are members of a union? Like, what is the problem? What is going on here? That's the big question, right? So, unfortunately, with our outdated labor laws, they haven't been working. Like, our voices are not being heard. People are being overvoiced by large corporations and unable to really hold anyone accountable for it to work, right? And it's unfortunate. And then on top of it, if you are in a union, you can see that like outside of one, inequality has skyrocketed because like union membership has dwindled and policymakers have failed to pass pro-worker labor laws. You can see that working people have fought and won better wages all the way across the board. There's less of an inequality gap if you're in a union job than if you are outside of a union job. You have better wages across the board between an average of 19%, but especially for different minority groups, they're getting pay parity to everyone else, right? Let's see. So not only does a collective voice mean a fair return on work, it also means having the freedom to care for ourselves and our families and to retire in dignity. Workers with union contracts not only have better wages, they also have higher access to health care, paid sick leave. They're more likely to have defined benefit pension by 62%. That's, especially here in Texas, that's so much higher than what you're getting in a non-union job. Let's be honest. Let's see. So we're going to recap what we just went over a little bit here. Hi. We're going to go with our top 5 takeaways from this, right? The first one being that the Proact will empower workers to exercise our freedom to organize and bargain to ensure that workers can reach a first contract quickly after the union is recognized. That's the big thing with the Proact. There's no more of the fighting the company. Are they are not recognized, and all the games that end up getting played. Number 2, Number 2, an employer's practice of punishing striking workers by hiring permanent replacements. Speaking up for labor rights is within every worker's rights, and no worker should lose their job for it. We're seeing a lot of that now. Well, we have a strike in Marshall where the company is trying to hire people to replace them while they're outside on strike. So something like this, the passage of the Proact would stop that and help people who have been working for a company over 35 years to earn a respectable wage and have respect in the workplace. Number 3, hold corporations accountable by strengthening the National Labor Relations Board and allowing it to penalize employees who retaliate against working people who support the union or collective bargaining. So like I just said, this is a very important one. A lot of corporations or management like to spy on workers. They like to figure out who's pro-union, especially in newly organized spaces or such like that. And they try to intimidate, fire, and altogether just break unions in these workplaces. Number 4, the Proact will repeal right-to-work laws, divisive racist laws that were created during the Jim Crow era that led to lower wages, fewer benefits, and more dangerous workplaces. So, what are the right to work laws really? They sound like, hey, you have this right to work. This sounds wonderful. It sounds like friendly legislation, right? So the basis of it is to break unions. This is a law that is like, yeah, you can either associate or not associate with a union. That's fine. But it was primarily used in the South for a way to engineer that people of color were not given the same benefits, pay, or classifications as other workers in the workspaces so that they can continue to get less and be further behind than their counterparts. So demolishing this will also help, demolishing the right to work laws will also help with pay gaps, racial inequalities, and basically get our country a huge economic boost. Number 5, create pathways for workers to form unions without fear in newer industries like big tech. So as our world evolves, we have new large firms, big tech being the big one, Amazon, we have just like online, like Microsoft, like all these different groups that do not currently have unions. They don't have the same representation that other fields have, such as nurses or pipe fitters or teachers. They are working at crazy hours as well, not getting the respect in the workplace, seeing tons of turnover. And having the Proact will help ensure that they also have the same rights given to them and that they are able to be represented and have a voice in their workplace. And it's just a very important thing to have for the Proact, right? Right now, you can see that we're working on passing this Proact, and you can see where your senators themselves lie. If you look on here, this is the Democrats currently in office, where they're standing on voting for the Proact. You see we have 45 passing, 5 are currently saying no. Those are the ones that we definitely want to talk to, get them to change their vote and make sure they're saying yes to working people, no to corporations. And it's time for all of us to finally have some say in our lives, be able to have an income, be able to have benefits, be able to live our lives without living paycheck to paycheck. On the other hand, as you can see, this is a bit of a partisan bill. We do have the Republicans, and it's basically like an inverse mirror at this time, where they're standing on party lines and all saying no, which is slightly terrifying because that shows a lot of people where their priorities lie, right? So what can you do about it? Like, how do you contact these senators? How do you do these things? Right on the bottom of the link, there is a call your senator, and the phone number will automatically route you to your senator. You can call them anytime, let them know you want them to pass the Proact. One of the other things that can be done is we do have a toolkit that's going on. It is on our website, www.tcclc.org. I'm going to show you a little bit what it looks like real quick so you can have an idea. So it's a pretty simple layout. It gives you the option to write a letter to your senator, to make a call. And there's some graphics you can share to try to get some of your friends or your family members to also make the call, just to share the news out. Everything is pretty set and easy to go through. Like I said, we're going to have this link up on our social media. It's also going to be up on our website, tcclc.org. If you want to go quick, it's go.aflcio.org/call. And just having these different tool sets, reaching a lot of people, it does help. Like I said, we need to sway a couple of senators, as you saw in the last couple of slides, over so that they will pass it through the Senate, which was blocked the last time it went through. Once it's passed, Joe Biden has already said, send it to my desk. He will sign it. He's very pro-labor, and that's one of the most important things for us that we have going on right now. So we're going to wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up a little bit for everyone. So this is just the first step of the Workers' First agenda. As a candidate, President Joe Biden has pledged to sign the Proact into law. After he was elected, Biden said unions are going to have increased power. As the president put it, worker power is not anti-business. It's about creating economic growth and creating good paying jobs. Lawmakers gave us the word that the Proact would be a top priority, and it's the time for action. The Proact is how our laws catch up with workers, embracing collective action with fervor not seen in generations. So in closing, we're going to have Joe here right there for us with our phone number. Send it to my desk, right? Have your take the graphics. We have them popping up on all of our social media. Call this number, call your senator, tell them you want the Proact passed. You want to be able to bargain for your rights. You want better wages. You want better benefits. And we'll see how the vote goes. It's going to be part of our actions. We also will have other actions coming up. We have May Day. We have Workers' Memorial Day, and a lot of other fun events coming. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.